It was another grueling day at work as an exterminator. My job consisted of crawling through the dark, damp tunnels beneath New York City and trapping any rats, mice, and cockroaches that might have found their way down there. While most people might find it unpleasant, I actually enjoyed the challenge. And it helped pay the bills, so that's always a plus. Today, however, turned out to be unlike any other day. I had been working underground all morning and early afternoon without seeing anything out of the ordinary. But then, while navigating the labyrinthine passages, I heard a strange noise echoing off the wall. At first I thought nothing of it. After all, rats make plenty of raucous noises themselves. But as the sound grew more persistent, more aggressive, my heart began racing faster than ever before. The source of the commotion appeared ahead. A massive, shadowy figure skulked around the corner of a tunnel intersection. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly intensity. They seemed to pierce straight into my soul. As I recoiled in shock and terror, the creature started walking towards me and slowly revealed its true form. A grotesque, hunchbacked monstrosity covered in patches of slimy skin and sprouting tentacles wherever they could fit, a veritable nightmare incarnate. In desperation, I tried to back away, only to trip over some debris and fall flat on my ass. The creature loomed over me now, savoring the momentary vulnerability, as if ready to strike. But just as suddenly as it had emerged, the beast disappeared once again behind one of the many concrete pillars lining the tunnels. With shaking hands, I retrieved my makeshift weapon and continued along my route, wondering if I would encounter the Undercity Stalker again. A short time later, my worst fears were realized, as I came across several dead workers who shared similar occupations to mine. Their bodies were mangled beyond recognition, crushed like twigs or impaled on splintered metal bars, sticking out from the walls. Every fiber within me screamed at me to abandon my mission then and there. Too late for them. I swore that wouldn't happen to me. My resolve strengthened by renewed determination. I pressed onwards until I reached the central hub connecting each line of the subway system. There, a small cluster of maintenance personnel was gathered, obviously just as spooked as myself. When we compared notes on our experiences thus far, the full scope of the monster's depravities became apparent. The thing fed not only on flesh and blood, but fear and suffering as well. No one knew where it originated or why, just that anyone entering its domain risked becoming its next victim. As we organized ourselves to defend against the creature, hoping to find safety in numbers, an idea struck me. Rather than fight blindly, perhaps we should try and track down the thing. So I volunteered myself to set up traps, pitfalls, whatever might distract the beast long enough for us others to escape. Despite my comrades objecting initially due to the extreme danger involved, not to mention going solo, I managed to persuade them otherwise. After all, what did we have left to lose? Nothing else could endure what the Undercity Stalker wrought upon everything it encountered. I ventured deeper into the dark depths of the Undercity, the cold sweat of fear clinging to my skin. With every step, my muscles tightened, expecting the terrible creature to leap forth from the shadows. But nothing happened, and I began to hope that maybe, just maybe, I would come out of this alive. After hours of searching, I finally discovered evidence of my prey, claw marks etched into the concrete, oozing drops of a viscous fluid. It was then that I remembered the warning of the other exterminators. The Undercity Stalker hungered not just for sustenance, but for fear itself. That realization sent a jolt of panic down my spine, threatening to immobilize me completely. But I couldn't afford to let myself succumb to my own emotions. If I wanted to survive this encounter and bring relief to those still struggling above ground, I needed to maintain my focus. I quickly fashioned crude spears made of broken wooden planks found strewn throughout the wreckage and set them around the area in a perimeter defense pattern. Then, using my trusty rat trap gun, I snared myself inside a particularly cramped alcove close by. From here I watched and waited patiently in silence. And finally, my persistence paid off. The Undercity Stalker materialized again atop the wall between two support columns, studying my improvised traps with curiosity before cautiously stepping among them. Unleashing a loud roar, the entity hurled aside my barricades effortlessly. As it closed the gap towards my hiding place, I readied myself for battle. My hand trembled nervously on the trigger as I aimed my trap directly at its face. The beast glared at me, almost as if comprehending what I intended to do, but nevertheless kept advancing. Seconds ticked past like sand grains slipping through an hourglass. Time slowed to a near standstill, heightening both my senses and dread alike. Suddenly, I pulled the trigger. My spring mechanism released the loaded steel pin attached to the hook, embedding it firmly right below the stalker's left eye. Gouts of black liquid exploded from the impact site, spraying everywhere in shockingly wet bursts. The monster emitted a low moan, an odd mixture of pain and annoyance. Initially, it felt like victory. I believed my efforts had paid off. However, the stalker unexpectedly retaliated. Its body convulsed violently, producing a strange wave which radiated outward in every direction. Invisible force fields created themselves from seemingly thin air, forming concentric circles centered on its position. Caught off guard, my defenses failed miserably, sending sticks, rocks, and garbage flying apart in unpredictable directions, creating chaos within the confined space. With my grip nearly torn loose from the handle and the barbs bouncing harmlessly away, the trap proved useless under such circumstances. All I could do was brace myself for potential collisions while helplessly observing everything unfold before my eyes. Even so, the dizzying maelstrom ultimately subsided after about 20 harrowing seconds, leaving the stalker eerily quiet. Once the cloud of dust and debris settled, something felt wrong, causing a sick feeling deep within me. My eyes straining to adjust to the dim surroundings. The source of my unease soon presented itself. Countless identical creatures milled around the first, their forms flickering slightly before solidifying fully into reality. Even though the original remained intact, These duplicates seemed somehow born from it, multiplying rapidly until nearly 24 replicas surrounded me all together. Each carried remnants of its parents' mutilating wounds despite lacking any visible injuries themselves, emphasizing how surreal the entire occurrence truly was. No longer having the luxury of time to ponder the situation further, I took cover behind some discarded train seats, frantically seeking another means to evade the horrible scenario before me. Panicked, I scanned the area for anything useful. My fingers brushed against a rusty pipe lying nearby, and I immediately seized the opportunity. Grabbing hold, I positioned myself for an attack run, adrenaline coursing through my veins. As one of the copies advanced toward me, I swung my makeshift weapon hard, hitting the duplicate squarely in its chest. To my surprise, the blow barely phased it, but the sudden movement disoriented it momentarily, buying me valuable time. Realizing fighting back wouldn't work alone, I formulated a new plan. Remembering my initial goal, I knew I must keep the attention of the entities focused solely on me. Swiftly calculating distances, I carefully measured my options in case things went sour. Darting around the room, I taunted each copy individually or in small groups. Whenever they drew too near or got too close together, I employed hit and run tactics. By doing so, I successfully prolonged my life, keeping the group's numbers manageable, yet also ensuring none of the clones could escape to seek reinforcements elsewhere. Though exhaustion started setting in, determination fueled me forward. The original Undercity Stalker eventually became aware of my game and, furious at being manipulated, launched a massive blast of energy that cracked the ceiling wide open. Hearing my escape route vanish, despair threatened to overwhelm me once more. Above-ground aid couldn't possibly reach me now. Maintaining calm, however, I calculated angles and remaining safe havens, deciding on using the subterranean train tunnel that connected our current location to another section several kilometers distant. Rather than confronting the Colossus head-on, I attempted drawing him deeper into the depths. Leading the way, I ran and dodged obstacles, trying desperately to lure my adversary away from my fellow exterminators without sacrificing myself. This dance continued for minutes on end before a fork split paths ahead, allowing me to double back with ease. Pausing briefly to catch my breath, I eagerly awaited his approach. Sure enough, he eagerly awaited his approach. Sure enough, he emerged soon thereafter, following closely on my tail. Though risking a direct assault against the main entity himself might spell trouble, I saw no alternative given limited supplies and resources available. Therefore, I baited the stalker precisely where and when desired, utilizing my recent knowledge gained via previous encounters. Surging through an unguarded passageway, I intentionally led it through numerous narrow pathways which gradually funneled everyone else closer and closer together. Meanwhile, my comrades coordinated accordingly, sealing various possible entry points. Confidence filled me, knowing our combined strength far exceeded that of the single behemoth. At last, arriving at an optimal locale, I gestured subtly to alert everyone else, and we sprang into action simultaneously. A fierce skirmish ensued, with all present joining forces to take down the stalker once and for all. Though the outcome remained uncertain for a brief period, our well-coordinated teamwork allowed us victorious triumph. Together, we vanquished this destructive fiend responsible for so much turmoil and devastation. Exhausted yet elated beyond measure, we regrouped afterwards, celebrating a job well done amidst the ruins and rubble. Reunited families, friends, and loved ones embraced warmly after weeks of separation and uncertainty. Eventually returning to daylight, stories were shared and retold countless times of heroism during the Undercity campaign against the nightmarish incursion. For many years, henceforward, tales of valiant struggles lived on via word of mouth, inspiring future generations to always fight and conquer darkness regardless of impossible odds. And thus concludes a tale of human resilience under the most dire circumstances imaginable. For just $3 a month, you can have your name featured in my YouTube videos and descriptions. Not only will you be supporting my channel, but you'll also be immortalized in the credits of my content. If you're looking for something a bit more personalized, consider becoming a $25 a month patron. I'll voice your stories and bring them to life on my channel. Create a special drawing just for you, or even write a unique story tailored to your interests. So don't hesitate. Join my patron community today and help me keep the spooky stories coming. And remember, together we can save each other from the YouTube algorithm. Thank you for your support.